Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see so many people join this session today. It's Andrew here from careermap.co.uk, and welcome to our latest live webinar for today. Today we're joined by the team from Bentley, and the guys will be talking today about their exciting apprenticeship opportunities. But before we begin, if you look to the right of the presentation screen, you'll see a chat facility. And we are live, so we encourage you to ask as many questions at any time. Feel free to make any comments, ask questions about the presentation, but there will be time at the end for a full Q&A session. So guys, thank you very much for joining us today. Before we begin the presentation, could you just introduce yourselves and give a bit of an overview of your roles at Bentley?
Hi everyone, if the Bentley team can join me now.
Good afternoon everyone.
Good afternoon.
Right, good afternoon everyone, and I just wanted to extend that warm welcome for today's webinar with the Business and Project Management degree apprenticeships. I'm going to ask everyone on the call shortly to briefly introduce themselves, the job title and the department that they work in. I'll then go into a short presentation to give you a little context around our apprenticeships and what's on offer at the moment. And then we'll move into a structured discussion with the colleagues on the call, and then there'll be plenty of time for questions at the end. So, my name is Wendy Hadaway, and I work in the Future Talent team as the Future Talent Officer. My role is to support the apprentice, manager and training provider through the operations of managing the apprenticeship programmes. I work alongside Tom Russell, who is our Future Talent lead, and he manages the Future Talent at Bentley as a whole. And if I can just ask Ima to introduce herself.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Ima. I'm a third year apprentice in Purchase Interior. My job role involves management of suppliers, cost negotiations, and delivering procurement strategy.
And James?
Yes, good afternoon everybody. My name's James Millington. I'm a degree apprentice within powertrain engineering, specifically within powertrain hardware. So my job role involves looking after design, development and test of various powertrain components that go into all of our products.
Fantastic. We have got two other managers that will be joining the call shortly, and I'll give them an opportunity to introduce themselves at that point. So if the team could just switch the cameras off and at the moment and the mics, and we'll come back shortly for the discussion. And now I'm just going to start a video. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video, insight into Bentley. And Bentley's factory has been located in Crewe in Cheshire, and all of our functions are currently on one site. Of course, many of us are currently working remotely, but still our factory is fully functioning and producing the extraordinary products we are world famous for. In Crewe, a number of highly skilled trades such as wood, sew, paint, assembly meet digital innovation to create the balance of performance, luxury and connectivity that makes our products so special. Our supporting functions such as purchasing on the call today, health and safety and product management help drive the business forward. At Bentley, we have a long tradition of supporting apprenticeships with intakes of around 20 to 60 a year. This year, we have a total of 112 trainees that will join the business. So apprentices enter a great community and peer support and networking. Support for study, work, or just about anything is never too far away. Bentley has a real focus on sustainability, with a number of initiatives helping us become the first carbon neutral certified automotive manufacturer in the UK. We have over 200,000 bees living on our site, helping to support our ecosystem alongside the number of living wall features, with over 2,600 plants helping to recirculate fresh air into the atmosphere. Our solar farm, one of the largest rooftop farms in Europe, now spans our entire factory and car park, providing up to 75% of our renewable energy to run the factory. We are also working hard with our supply chain to reduce CO2 emissions, with one notable initiative being the use of biofuels in our logistics chain. Apprentices on both business management and project management pathways will study towards a full degree at our partner universities, alongside receiving the one-to-one support in applying the theories learned into practice in the day-to-day role. 20% of time is spent working on the study topics, and 80% of time is spent in Bentley working on real-life projects and tasks with your support from your manager and team. You will build a portfolio of evidence which will support your development and proves how far you progress over the 4-year programme. Support is always available from peers, manager, and the wider network of trainees, with our central apprenticeship team always on hand to help with any issues. Remember, this is a great chance to learn while you earn, with training fully funded and a full-time contract with Bentley. Some great reasons to work with us. Some awards here, just a few of them. Top 100 apprentice employers, top 100 for the 10th year in a row, active in BAME Alliance, Apprenticeship Alliance, and Automotive 30% Club, and recent winners of School Leaver Awards and Princess Royal Training Award. From the application point of view, Bentley's vacancies are currently live on our careers website, which I'll give you a link towards the end of the presentation. You will go through a CV sift, which is where the managers review the CVs and cover letters on the application, and then we call people through for an assessment centre, which will happen in hopefully early March. An assessment centre consists of presentation and an interview. The presentation will focus on your technical skills, whereas the interview will focus on your competencies and behaviours, and our managers make the decision who is the best suited for that role and then make an offer. In September, we will be onboarding 39 apprentices. We have started onboarding 20 apprentices currently in February and March, and we hope we have some more apprentices on the webinar today with experience to answer your questions, and hiring managers from purchase and product line will join us shortly. So if I can ask the Bentley team to rejoin the conversation. Thanks very much. So I'd just like to ask a few key questions to the team that's on the call at the moment. We have hopefully got some managers joining us shortly. And just to really get their expectations of what a manager requires from an apprentice, and a little bit more information from the apprentices from their experience. So, as I've got Irma on the call and James, it's great for you to get involved in this kind of, attraction event as well. Can you tell us a bit more about your home department, Irma?
Yeah, sure. So my department's purchase. So everything that you just saw in the video a few minutes ago, all of that required purchasing, the equipment, the materials for the car in interior, exterior metals. So the purchasing team are responsible for the purchase of those parts, and we manage a base of global suppliers, and we do all the cost negotiations with them. We try to work within finance targets to ensure that our business makes profit. So I'll be honest, a few years ago I was in the position of many of you, and I had no clue what purchasing was. But to explain it in a nutshell, the role of sales and marketing is to increase business profitability by selling more cars. Purchase, on the other hand, try to contribute to business profitability by reducing costs. So we do all the cost negotiations and strategy. Why do we want a global supply chain? Why do we want a domestic supply chain? Why do we want to go with this supplier or that supplier? All that sort of stuff. And then in purchase, we have different commodities. So as I mentioned, we've got interior, exterior metals. We have general purchase, who are responsible for any purchase or any purchasing activity not related to the car. So construction on site, stuff like that. And then we have buyers in interior, who are responsible for purchase of everything you see in the interior of a car, such as leather, sewing threads, the wood panels, seats. And then we've got exterior buyers responsible for headlamps, all sorts of stuff. And then we've got metals, who are obviously responsible for the body. I hope that summarises it.
Great, thanks, Ira. What about you, James? So, in a nutshell, what does your department do?
Well, it's quite widespread, to be honest. But yes, powertrain engineering are effectively responsible for the whole powertrain in the car. So that's everything from the engine right the way through to your differential and your drive shaft, your gearbox, your prop shaft, exhausts, cooling system, air intake, everything required to make the car move effectively aside from the wheels. So yeah, in my team we're responsible for hardware, so we're in charge of actually designing and developing the parts, getting them onto test vehicles, making sure that they meet the standards, they don't break, and then making sure that they are eventually released and approved for use in production vehicles. But other areas of powertrain look after the calibration, so ensuring the car shifts gear at the right time and behaves as the driver would expect. And then we also have electronics who look after the ECUs and safety systems within the powertrain.
Sounds like a lot going on there, but I know that you're actually working in a different department at the moment on a placement, aren't you? That's why you're on the call today, because this placement that we've got available is actually, apprenticeship that we've got available is actually in the product line. Can you tell us a bit more about that department?
So I've just come off a placement in the program management office, which are closely linked to the product line, yes, but not within the same area. But yes, basically they're responsible for managing restructure and high-level programs across the business. It's quite a big picture role, working right across the company in all sorts of areas. Yeah, it was quite enjoyable to be linking up with people from all over the business and building a strong network.
Great, thanks. I think we've got now Mark on the call.
Yes.
Mark, would you like to just put your camera on? There we go. Hi, thanks for joining us, Mark. So I was just hoping that, in a nutshell, could you tell us what your department does? And obviously, Iman's given us a good explanation from an apprentice point of view. Can you give us an explanation from your point of view?
Yeah, obviously, I'm personally myself, I'm head of interior, exterior and metals and commodities in Bentley. Within the purchasing environment, we're split into 4 main areas. We have the commodities, which is what I head up. We have the systems element, which is in the title, it looks after the systems that run the whole of the department. There's a general purchasing area, which looks after non-production areas. So the production area, which I run myself, will be all the parts that build the car. The non-production area will be the area that facilitates the spend for the rest of the business. So any new buildings that want coming up, any infrastructure, any development expenditure that needs to be raised for anything other than production will go through that area. And then there's a project area where all of the future projects of the business go through that area. We're roughly around 90 people. Split roughly around, probably half are in the production area and the rest go through the other 3 areas. We have budgets and commitments throughout the year, so we have an overall budget that we must meet overall to run the department, and we have some high criteria that we must meet, savings per year, nominations that need to be done to actually enable the business to move forward, and investments that need to be made to enable the business to go forward as well. All of these are done within a very, very robust number of systems. As you're probably aware, we're part of the VW group, so we're part of Audi, Skoda, Seat, Lamborghini, etc. We're fully aligned with the rest of the group, and we use all of their processes. We have what we call a local sourcing committee, where we source all of the components that go into the car, and a general purchase sourcing committee, where we source the non-production components. Depending on the thresholds of spend with regards to what we need to do going forward, they go through various forums and include all of the other brands, Porsche, and then first of all, and then following that, they go through to what's called a pre-meeting, which is all the other brands and regions worldwide. And if need be, after that, they go through to the corporate sourcing committee, where the senior people from within the VW group, high level purchasing, look at the strategies involved at the sourcing. So lots to do. The way the commodities are split down is into 5 areas: interior, exterior, metals, powertrain, and electrical. They all have specific buyers allocated to them with specific spends, and they have what's called work groups. So if you think of every area of the car, each area has a work group associated to it, whether it be wheels, tyres, glazing, engines, etc., body in white. And then at least 3 times a year, all of these work group people meet worldwide. I mean, obviously now at this moment in time, it's done on things such as this, webinars or Teams, etc. And they go through strategies so that we can be totally aligned with what the rest of our colleagues are doing worldwide to enable we get the best suppliers on board, not just from a cost viewpoint, although that's very important to us, but to ensure that we meet all of the right ethics in sourcing the part. I mean, even going forward, we look at all the sustainability of the parts going forward, which is particularly of interest as we move into more electrification and batteries and so on and so forth. So that's a quick whistle-top tour of what we do and how we do it and how we're structured. I don't know, is that enough for now, or would you like?
Yeah, that's great. I was going to ask, how does your department interact with the rest of the business, but I think you've just given us a really good overview there. So thanks for that. So what is an apprentice joins your department? What kind of tasks will they be involved in, Mark?
Well, as Arma's probably stated at the moment, what we'll do first of all is a look at the gaps we have in the department and where we feel that we need to train people up for the future. So as an example, going forward, I touched on electrification. Some of the areas going forward, we need to look at bringing buyers in to learn them into how to look after batteries, as an example, which is something new as we move into cell technology and how the cells are put together into modules. And even going forward, we need to look at how we, at the end of life of the car, how do we get rid of that battery? And the sustainability element. their new skills. So some of the new apprentices that are coming in need to go into those gaps where there is no skill in that area. So we look at things like that. We put them into these right areas, and then with the apprenticeships, they stay in that area at that point in time then and develop in those relevant skills. Although they can go out to other areas such as logistics and quality and all the other system areas that we interact with to learn and understand how everything pulls together within the organisation. But again, as I said, it's probably where we have skills gaps and where we need to train people and where we take new skills coming forward.
Great. So that's obviously where the new apprentices that you've got coming on board will interlink with your department. So what exciting projects have you got going on at the moment, Ima?
So as an apprentice buyer in interior, what I look after is seat foams. I look after other bits of foam around the car, so the bumper foam, for example. I'm also responsible for some airbag socks, seat clips, which attach seat covers to the seat, and some other bits of tapes, etc. So I purchase parts that go on all vehicles, so which is the Flying Spur, Bentayga, Continental, and yeah, it's just developing strategies really to improve current costs and also looking at future strategies. So where is there opportunity to improve costs, which is some projects I'm looking at the moment.
Great. Sounds exciting. What about yourself, James? Have you got some exciting projects going on at the moment? What are you involved in?
So yes, at the moment I've just last week started a placement within powertrain, but within the electrical side of powertrain. So spending a few months away from hardware and getting a feel for what powertrain electronics do. So I'm currently just learning about their processes and how things work there. Alongside that, I'm also doing some work with the functional project manager in powertrain electronics. So effectively I'm looking after making sure that the engineers within powertrain electronics are completing the tasks that are needed for various stages of sign-off as we go through our product emergence process at Bentley, and to make sure that when we get to different stages all the correct documents have been signed and the parts are ready effectively and perfect for the car.
Great. So how do you balance your study and your work projects, James?
Yes, I think with the apprenticeship, it's a 20% off the job structure, or at least mine is. So obviously I get 1 day release to go to uni, or though not physically at the moment, it's all virtual. But on that day release I tend to get most of my uni work done. Occasionally I spend a weekend on it if I'm coming up to an assignment deadline or something like that and I need to put a bit more time into it. But I also do a lot of reading around engineering in general, to be honest, because it's something I'm interested in. So that also just helps towards the studying. In terms of being at work as well, your managers are always quite open to giving you some time if you need extra time to do some work for college or for uni. They're quite open to let you have half a day on a Friday of doing some work if you need to do it. So yeah, it's pretty easy to balance the workload, but yeah, you still get to be involved in lots of interesting tasks and tasks that real employees are involved in as well. You're not given simple tasks because you're an apprentice. You're given everything that a normal employee would, and you're treated the same way as a normal employee is.
Yeah, and I can definitely vouch for that. Ima, have you got the same question to you?
Yes. So as part of my apprenticeship, I was studying with the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply. So I've completed my level 4 diploma with them. And in terms of managing studies, it was similar, so 20% off the job. But with our day-to-day work, a lot of the stuff we studied in SIPs, we already saw happening in the real world. So it was kind of like constant learning. And yes, and you are allowed also to have study leave from work. So sometimes if I felt I was struggling with a workload, I could take a study leave. But generally, how you manage the study and work balance depends on your way of learning. So for me, I focus on work-related topics during the morning and afternoon, and I try to focus on the study in the evening if I need to do additional research. Otherwise, study material is available around me, to be honest, in my day-to-day job role. But apart from study, I'm also doing business placements around the business, so in areas such as engineering and quality. So at the moment, my diary's a bit packed, but it's not difficult to manage. It's quite flexible.
Great. And are you all working from home at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how are you finding it working from home then, Mark?
If I'm honest, at first it was a little bit of a struggle, but I think it's become more reality now. I think the systems we operate and use are good systems. So it enables us all to be able to talk to each other as and when we need to. The meetings take place in the virtual world now, and all of those meetings can happen. We can share videos. We can talk. You get used to the way of working. It's become the norm already, I would say.
Yeah, and obviously those, assessment centres are going to be going virtually, and we can't obviously meet at the moment. So it is a good platform, getting used to presenting online and getting used to those ways of working. Will it be that your apprentices would work from home or combined? In the office?
At the moment, it will be from home. As we move forward and the business makes decisions on what the new way of working will be going forward into 2022, etc., then I would assume it would be combined. But we will wait and see what the business, as every other business out there, decides to do, and what Mr. Johnson tells us maybe later today we can start to look at going forward. But
exactly.
But yes, it's only done with people's safety at heart, shall we say. But at the moment, we can engage and do everything we need to do, and we can ensure that we deliver all activities that we need to deliver whilst working from home.
Yeah, and all the apprenticeships that we've got available at the moment for the project management and the business management, we've obviously got business management in purchase. So have you got an area in particular that they'll be starting in straight away in September?
If I'm honest, I'm taking it step by step, and we'll see where we look into. Like I said, the big element of what we're doing going forward is going to be electrification. So I think most of the elements will be involving electrification and how we look forward into future projects and what we do in that area. And I think that'll be the aim from September. But I'm also quite keen that because we're so interactive with the rest of the business, then they also need to ensure that the trainees that come in understand how we work cross-functionally and understand what happens with quality and logistics. And as Arma's probably already explained, you have to get that network. And one of the things I've said to all the apprentices, I've done this for many years, bringing apprentices on board. The first 2 or 3 months you come in, nobody expects you to deliver. You're there to learn. It's there. You have to get your all of the systems on board. You have to start your networking across the business and get to know people and understand how people work and how you fit into the cog which is Bentley, and how the wheel goes around. And the more important thing is to start to understand that first of all, not feel that you have to come in and deliver something straight away. It's fine to learn for the first 2 or 3 months. That's always been my philosophy, as Emma was probably nodding her head.
I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the focus on developing young people at Bentley is great. For example, with this apprentice placement program, there's a lot of opportunity to experience other departments. And with purchasing, it's not just a tunnel vision, just buying parts. You actually need to have a knowledge of other functions as well. How does quality interact with purchase? How do we ensure quality of parts? We have a lot of interaction with engineering, with logistics to ensure parts are in on time. So networking, as Mark said, is quite important, and having knowledge of different functions is quite important as well. So the business placement opportunity allows you to learn, and yeah.
Have you had an opportunity to travel at all, James or Ima?
I have, yes, a pre-COVID time. So this was actually within the first year of my apprenticeship. I had the opportunity to travel to the VW headquarters in Germany. And it was part of, like Mark mentioned, the work group strategies and the work group meetings that we have. And it was a leather work group in which all the group brands, including Lamborghini, Audi, Porsche, all the buyers from these brands were present, and we were strategizing on how to source leather, because leather is quite important to the Bentley.
What about yourself, James? Have you had an opportunity to travel yet?
So I've done a bit of travelling in the UK with work, but nothing overseas yet. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, COVID, everything gets a little bit better soon, and then hopefully, yes, going out to Porsche either this year or next. So that should be quite good fun.
I'm sure it will, and I will be joining as well. I'll be hopefully travelling to Porsche. So, top tip for anyone in your position, Ima?
Anyone looking to apply?
Yeah.
I think I would just echo what Mark said. Definitely have a willingness to learn. I think one of the things I noticed when I was applying for apprenticeships about 3 years ago, or when I was just looking at opportunities after college, I noticed that Bentley doesn't expect you. For example, if you're applying for an apprenticeship in purchase, they don't expect you to have full knowledge of what purchasing is. They just expect you, or appreciate if you have a willingness to learn, and obviously some basic knowledge that relates to that topic. So, for example, I studied economics at college, and obviously the knowledge I picked up linked to purchasing, which is why the department or the function interested me. But I know other companies, if you're applying for an apprenticeship, there seems to be some sort of pressure on being a knowledge holder of that topic, and that wasn't the case with Bentley. And the idea is that you have an interest in that area, and that during the course of your apprenticeship, you will develop the skills required for the role at the end.
What about yourself, James? Have you got a top tip for anybody was in your position a couple of years ago?
My top tip for anyone who always, I get people asking me all the time, friends and family and that, asking about apprenticeships. And my top tip's always to get extracurricular experience while you're at school and while you're at college. When you come through to the interview, a lot of the questions will be about how did you tackle something challenging in your life, or where's something in your life that you've succeeded well at, or where that sort of stuff. And having that extracurricular experience and being able to talk about that sort of stuff is really helpful. So I know for myself, I was involved in an engineering club when I was in high school, and we made an electric race car. So then being able to come into the interview and talk about this electric car and how we'd had trouble getting things working, and how we had to work with people across the school and different companies and that to get parts for it. It all just sort of gelled together nicely, and it gave a nice bit of background to me, as well as my academic qualifications. It's that extra little bit on top, if you want the cherry on top, that makes you stand out above everyone else, because when you're applying for an apprenticeship, you've got to consider that everyone's going to have similar grades to you in similar subjects, by virtue of that's the requirement to get into the apprenticeship. So it's finding that little bit that you can put on top, and then being proud of what you've done as well and your successes, and not being too shy to talk about things that you're really good at. Just sell yourself and make yourself stand out.
So from a manager's, thanks very much, James. So from a manager's point of view, Mark, what are you looking for on your application?
People that are interested, as James said there, you look at a lot of applications, and at first you can see a lot of the applications are very, very similar. So interest is always good. People are interested in cars, interested in Bentley, people with a passion. When normally we would do this and we'd have a facility where people can come to see us, and you can tell people's passion by talking to them, by engaging with them, by having eye contact with them. I think that's very important, and people are genuinely excited to come to work at Bentley. People want to work at Bentley. As we were talking about there, it's not always, it's a funny profession, purchasing. It's not like you sit at school for 16 years and think, oh, I'll be a buyer when I leave school. It's not really one of those things that people talk about. But as you grow into it, it is a very exciting role, and it is very cross-functional, and it is very open to doing lots of different things in different ways. So people that have a passion for cars, a passion in general, people that are excited to work for Bentley, people who want to move on as well, remembering that when we're part of the VW group, you can, if you want to and you choose to, you can go traveling the world if you want and you can always come back again. The world's your oyster. You can develop and do whatever you want, and you own your development. And people like that, really, people who really want to come.
Yeah, and that's a very good point about the the entry requirements. Obviously, you've got a business management degree. These are full degrees that you'd be given, BA honours, all fully funded. But it gives you a really good grounding overview of business, not just for purchase. So the degree that you're giving to to this apprenticeship is an all-rounder. So it opens many doors, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and also I'd like to think with that degree, and also as we were talking about earlier as well, with CIPS, the Chartered Institute of Purchase and Supply. Yeah, you're not just learning; you've got that theory with reality, so you can link the two. So it's actually quite exciting to put into practice what you learn on a Monday on a Tuesday, and it's really good from that viewpoint. The degree is a good degree. It's quite an open-ended degree that takes into account financials and legals, etc. But if you link that with the Chartered Institute of Purchase and Supply to take that theory and link back how that works into what a buyer does and how it works and how purchasing works, is quite exciting for a trainee.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. So that's great. And I think, Andrew, we could go over to some questions now for the panel.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for that presentation. That was really informative. Some good hints and tips there. We've had a lot of questions coming in so far. The first one is from Connor, and he's asking about what happens after you finish your apprenticeship, and do you stay on? Do you have the opportunity to stay on in a permanent role?
Well, I'll take that one. So we do everything we can. Obviously, you go through your apprenticeship for the 4 years, 4-year program, and you're developing and networking and showcasing yourself over that 4 years, and making yourself indispensable. And hopefully, you get the position at the end of it.
Right, brilliant. Thanks for that. We've had another question here from Rayhan, and he's asking what's the best way to start applying for his apprenticeship, and also how long is the course?
So, James, do you want to give an overview of your course layout? Because I think it's a similar 4-year degree apprenticeship.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've got a 4-year degree apprenticeship. So, started back in September 2018. And then I did a HNC and a HND, so a year for each of those, and then 2 years to top up to my engineering degree. But yeah, I think it's a similar format to that, basically, that you're going for this time.
Okay, brilliant. A question that we get asked a lot is for the existing apprentices is what's your most challenging thing that you've done so far? And then as well, what's the most exciting thing that you've done so far?
I can go straight away with the most exciting thing. So I was a part of a group of apprentices that got to restore the 212th engine ever built by Bentley. So that was quite an impressive thing. It was a apprentice managed project, so there was 6 of us, and we looked after everything from creating risk assessments, sorting out who we needed to help us with it, the facilities, how we were going to get parts transported, painted. It was all quite exciting, really, and then it was displayed at the centenary event, and it's now in the showroom on display. So that was quite an exciting project to have been involved in, particularly so early on in my apprenticeship. Really started that within a few weeks of joining the company. Yeah, that was a really good one. Right,
sounds great. And Emma?
I think for me, that the most exciting thing and the most challenging thing go hand in hand, because in purchase So during like the first couple of months in purchase, I started looking at strategies for my work package and where I can achieve cost savings, where sustainability or quality are important factors, and just developing a business strategy really. And within the first 3 months of my apprenticeship, I had the opportunity to present in front of the purchase director. And that was quite scary. It was very, very challenging for someone who's just come out of college to be able to stand in front of a room full of business heads and a director. So it was quite challenging, but it was also quite exciting. And just sort of every day, I think every day is there's something challenging in every day, and there's something exciting in every day. But for me, I think both go hand in hand.
Okay, thanks a lot. A few of the questions are quite similar. Want to know about do you partner with any universities for the apprenticeships, and do you also have any opportunities for university graduates as well?
Mark, would you like to take that question?
Yeah, I mean, universities, we've used several different universities, so we do constantly look and strive to do what we think suits Bentley best, so we don't stick with one and then stay there for 20 years or anything like that. We will keep constantly changing and moving if we need to. But no, there's not one size fits all. And what was the second part of the question? Graduates, sorry. Yeah, we have graduates and apprentices, and then depending on what the intake is and what we're looking to achieve, we'll decide how many graduates, how many apprentices, and sometimes we have more graduates and apprentices, sometimes more apprentices and graduates. Depends what we're looking at with regards to the future structure and technologies we're looking at bringing into the business. Okay.
We have another question here from Alexander, which is another question we get asked quite a lot. Is are apprenticeships open to foreign students?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, so are apprenticeships open to foreign students?
Well, I think at the moment there's obviously, as long as you get the right relevant right to work in the UK documentation, then the apprenticeship is open to everyone.
Okay.
I think there is, Wendy, you perhaps have to consider about people coming to site as well. When we go back to a more normal way of working, you will likely have to be able to get to site, and it could be a few times a week maybe, or even a full week at a time.
Yeah, depending on the role, isn't it? Hence why we were talking before about working from home at the moment. You know, but it can be that you apply for the apprenticeship, but you're expected to move over and live in the local area eventually. But obviously, working from home is an option at the moment.
Okay, so sort of moving on, or on the similar lines to that, a lot of people ask about relocating. Do you do any help with that?
Well, we help with the not the cost, obviously, but we help with relocating by supporting, you know, house sharing. There's a lot of undergrads and you know, other apprentices that have rooms available in houses. Some have whole houses, so they have rooms available, and we try and put those networks together and support that way. Is there any of your colleagues, Ima or James, that house share at the moment?
I know of a few that are house sharing, yes. I don't know them personally, but yes, I do know of a few that are house sharing in the year below.
Yeah, same for me. There's quite a few people at work who house share.
Okay. And just another question for Ima and James. Can you tell us a bit more about the sort of training that you receive, and how have you found that at Bentley?
I don't know who wants to go first. Is this a battle?
I'll let you go first. I'll let you go first.
I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay. So in terms of the training, it's fantastic. Bentley always strive to get the best possible training they can. As Mark said, they're constantly reviewing training providers, making sure that you've got the best education you possibly can get. In terms of support on site, I mean, everybody loves an apprentice, you know. If you need help with something, you speak to somebody and say, "Hi, I'm an apprentice, I'm trying to learn something," they'll always make time for you, you know, quite often I'll get somebody saying, "Oh, I'll put half an hour in with you in the diary, and I'll talk you through it, explain how it works." But yeah, everyone's really keen for you to learn, because a lot of the people and a lot of my colleagues were apprentices or undergrads, and they came up through the program exactly the same as I am, so they know exactly how I'm feeling and how daunting it can be starting out at Bentley. So yeah, you get a lot of support and a lot of help with training.
There's a lot of support with regards to development and training. So, for example, when I started SIPs, or just as part of my week, I'd have regular one-to-ones with my manager. Back when we were in the office, I could literally turn around and ask my manager for help. But with the new way of working, I can now call my manager, put in a Teams meeting. These options are available. Also, we can set up WhatsApp groups, and I do currently have WhatsApp groups for the SIPs qualification that I did. Apart from that, there's always someone in the department who's done a similar qualification or who's working on a similar qualification, and there's always the option to ask them for help. And I think no one ever, if you ask someone for help, no one ever turns you down. No one says I don't want to help you. Everyone's quite supportive. There's a lot of support.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. We've got a question here from Marco, and he's asking, how much do you value work experience, and is that a big requirement to join the Bentley as an apprentice?
Well, work experience hasn't been physical for a long, for obvious reasons. But we are hoping to get some virtual work experience available. We have got a digital platform that I'll share with you shortly that you can apply to. But we are hoping that obviously once the restrictions are reduced, we can get people back on site and doing the work experience, because we absolutely love having them on site. And I know that Mark has a lot in his department, don't you, Mark? You're on mute, Mark.
Sorry, still can't get used to the mute button. Yes, we've had lots of work experience people coming to the department. We really love having the people in. We've done internships. We do lots of things. You name it, we do it. But the more people we can get engaged into Bentley and bring into Bentley, the better. Difficult in this environment, but as Wendy said, there's looking at different ways of how we can do it interactive.
Okay, thanks a lot. We've had another question here from Matt, and he's asking how many apprenticeship roles are available, and specifically he wants to know about apprenticeship roles in the product lines.
Okay, so there is actually 39 apprenticeship roles coming in September. There is 2 apprenticeship role degree apprenticeships in business management in Mark's department. And then we've got 1 product management degree apprenticeship in the product line. I think Martin may have joined the call now.
Yeah, so Wendy, just a bit of a sound check. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Can everybody else hear Martin?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So thanks for joining us, Martin. Good timing, really. Can you give us a bit about what the apprentices will be doing in your department?
Yeah, so good afternoon all. Again, apologies, I'm not sure if my camera's working, so apologies if you can't put a face to the name. But yeah, so welcome. So yeah, my name's Martin Page. I work in the product line organisation. So we're responsible for project delivery of the products, kind of cradle to grave, really. So working with all of the functional heads to deliver the relevant functional objectives to time, cost, and quality, as we always like to say. So yeah, within the product line, we've got a degree-sponsored apprenticeship that starts this year, and really the content of that, as well as the kind of formal training that will go on through Academy, is to be involved in project development on a range of projects, no doubt. We've got many projects that run concurrently through the course of any given year, and obviously for those of you that would join us on a 4-year program, you'll certainly see some projects go from start to finish, but equally you'll see many projects that will be at various phases in that project delivery cycle. So you can expect to get involved in upfront work such as target setting and planning. Obviously a big part of our role is around planning the course and direction for the business as we go forward, but then equally in the execution of those plans. So problem solving, getting first parts off the tool through the work that Mark's team and department do, building the first cars, not directly, but working with the team on the line to understand the challenges in building the first cars, testing, validation, and then launch phases as well. So really the opportunity to see the entire business perspective from start to finish, and hopefully, and as we were able to do, stand next to a very emotional product at the end of the line, at the end of the day, and celebrate a bit of success with that. So yeah, really all aspects of the business in our area.
Thanks very much for that, Martin. Have you got any more questions then, Andrew?
Yes, so another question again that we get asked quite a lot, and I guess this is for everyone, is how would you describe the culture at Bentley?
Oh, great question. Can I hand over to you, Mark?
In a nutshell, I'd say it's constantly changing. I think the culture is it's a good culture. It's a learning culture. It's a changing culture. I think I mentioned in one of the questions before. It's we're always open to doing things differently, and that's also the same in the culture. We strive to move forward. We want people to be accountable, responsible, and not afraid to take calculated risks. It's okay to make a mistake as long as you learn from it. It's a learning culture. I couldn't say anything bad about the culture. It evolves as we evolve at Bentley.
I absolutely feel like it's like a family. Even though it's such a big company, I feel like it's a family, and we've got small teams that really look out for each other, especially as we're all working from home in different times. What's your view on that then, Martin?
Yeah, so I think you've stolen the word that I was going to use. So family, I think, is exactly the word that I use to describe what we do here. And 4,000 employees is a large enough company, but in the context of some of the competitors, it's actually really small. And being co-located on one site in normal times is a huge strength we have, and that sort of family kind of perspective on things, as you said, always helping each other out, heading for the same objective, is really part of what is the culture I feel we have in the business. So
yeah, I mean, just to add to that, I think it's a good point to make that it's a family, but also an apprenticeship at Bentley is so much more. You come to Bentley for a career. You don't come to Bentley to tick a box to try and find a career elsewhere. You can have a full career at Bentley. I won't go into it in detail because it'll show how old I am. But I was an apprentice, the same as you, as the two people on the call now, and the same as some of you people that hopefully will get apprenticeships at Bentley 36 years ago. And I'm still here, and I've done lots of different things, and it's an exciting place still to be all those years later. So it's definitely got that family element to it, and you don't want to leave.
I would just echo that. I joined on a trainee scheme as well. What is it now? 16 years ago, and I think as Emma and James will probably testify, you've got the Bentley business family, but equally in your cohort, having the group of apprentices that join at the same time, the group of graduates that join at the same time, whatever group of individuals join at the same time, they become your network and your kind of peer group, obviously, for your time in the company. And it's a massively valuable group of people to have on your side. And even now, and I'm sure Mark will say the same, a lot of the people I met on day one, and certainly in the first 6 months of my time in the company, are the people I call on now when I need help to get things done. So
absolutely agree with that. What about James? What's your view?
Yeah, I think that working at Bentley, it's always very welcoming. As I've said before, for apprentices, we're always encouraged to get involved with things, and people are always happy to help you out and to let you get involved with stuff. There's never a case of someone saying, oh, you can't get involved with that, you're only an apprentice, you wouldn't understand it. That's never the case. It's always very very welcoming, I think, and very friendly. And as Mark said, it's ever changing. The company, it's even since we've started, it's changed massively, and it continues to do so. Yeah, it's really exciting being here.
Ima, have you got a view on that?
Yeah, I think I definitely agree that there's a culture of learning. Everyone's supportive. No one criticizes you for making a mistake as long as you learn it, as long as you learn from it. And yeah, I mean, back when we were in the office, it was like a family. We would go on meals and other activities. Would have Christmas dues, and now that's been replaced by team meetings. So there is definitely like a family culture. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Sounds good. We've had a few more questions coming in, sort of revolving around entry requirements and age restrictions and deadlines for applications. Do you have any more info on that? And is there anywhere that they can view this online, perhaps?
Yeah, so we've got the website there, and I think it's in the chat as well. The deadline is Friday, but I would urge people to get their applications in, by Wednesday, because yeah, it's very, very popular, so very competitive. And what was the final question? Oh, entry requirements, wasn't it? Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
So entry is, because they're degree apprenticeships, you are required to have A levels or a BTEC level 3 on these particular degree apprenticeships. It's good to have business within your A levels, but it's not it's not applicable if you've got three A levels. Then that's the entry requirement.
And is there any age restrictions for applicants?
Absolutely not. We have apprentices of all ages. I'm actually an apprentice as well, believe it or not. And Tom Russell, who I work with, the Future Talent Lead, he's an apprentice. Obviously, we are colleagues, but there is apprentices all over the business, and nothing is, it's obviously a reskilling situation. We want everybody to apply. So minimum age is obviously, I would have thought, when you've completed your A levels or your BTEC, so 18 plus.
Okay, thank you. So the question we get quite a lot as well is, do you have such a thing as a perfect candidate, and do you have any sort of last sort of hints and tips to make your application stand out?
Can I hand that one over to Mark?
Hints and tips are, I would be yourself. Put into your application what you think you should put into the application. Put into it what makes you stand out. There's nothing I could categorically say to you, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. Yes, you're looking for something different, but be yourself, because that's what we want you to be. You don't want you to be anything different than that. If you're interested in cars, great, yeah. If you're interested in Bentley, great, fantastic. But it's totally up to you what you put in there, and it's up to you whether you stand out or not. But there's nothing specific that we'll be looking for now.
What about yourself, Martin? Have you got anything that you'll be looking for in the application forms?
Yeah, so I think similar to Mark there. I think the biggest thing is get your personality, get your interests across. So what I'm looking for really is passion in whatever it is you're interested in. That doesn't have to be cars, but be passionate about what you're interested in, and demonstrate that if you can through your application. We can teach you all the technical skills in the world, all of the project management skills in the world. What we need to see is you as a person. So actually the bit I look for most in the application is an insight into you as an individual, not about what you maybe know or don't know, because we'll teach you that stuff. But what I want to see is who's the person behind the application.
Great.
Okay, thanks a lot. Well, I think we're coming towards the end of today's session. Do you guys have any final comments to make?
Well, I just think it's the most exciting time to join the business on a 4-year programme. I don't know if anybody else is in that opinion, especially due, to our Beyond 100 strategy and our journey towards electrification for 2030. I don't know if anybody else has got a final point to make on that.
I'd just like to wish everybody good luck, really, if you're applying this year or If you're thinking about applying next year, perhaps if you're not at the relevant age yet or requirements, whatever the case may be, just good luck with it. Hope to be working with some of you very soon.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Fabulous. Well, thank you very much for joining us today on the webinar. And please go to the website and get those applications coming in. And if you've got any queries, there is a help contact us email address, which we can hopefully help with any inquiries. So thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Yeah, good luck, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Wendy.
So thanks again to Bentley and everyone that joined us today. Just to let you know, the session has been recorded. It will be uploaded to careermap.co.uk soon, so you can refer back to the presentation at any time. We hope you enjoyed today's webinar, and we hope to see you again very soon. So stay safe, everyone, and thanks a lot for joining.